Hello. Today I'm going to talk about something related to relationships. There are certain situations or aspects of people and relationships that can be used to get apart or to get closer, to connect or to justify losing a connection with someone. Today I'm going to talk about one of these elements, one of these aspects that has to do with the similarities between the two people in a relationship. We often hear expressions like, oh, we really think alike, we are so similar, oh, that's so good. And sometimes it's not. Of course, you don't want someone that is completely different, like doesn't have your values at all, that rejects everything you do or say or your opinions. That's also not a good thing, but there needs to be a little bit of differences, and that's basically my point. You need some differences. So a long time ago, I remember being in this date, and I thought it was going pretty well, and I thought so because the girl I was having coffee with was sharing things that were exactly the way I thought. So she said one thing and said, "Oh, I think like that." I said, "Oh, that's so cool. That's it." And then she kept going, sharing stuff. I was sharing stuff myself as well, and we were like, "Oh, wow." All these things that you already thought about, that I think like that, all your opinions that are like my opinions, the people you know that are the people I know. And this went for a while until it got to a point that I remember losing complete interest. I remember being there and just all of a sudden just losing the attraction completely. It was like I felt like I was dating myself. That suddenly all those, oh yeah, that's so great, everything fade away. Suddenly I was not interested anymore because there was no mystery there. There was no polarity. There is nothing to unveil. Of course, there was an element of that. We're different people, but there was too much in common. And now, my point is that sometimes the opposite can appear in a relationship. That is, when we are already in a relationship, and maybe you've been in situations like that, that you start noticing that the other person doesn't think alike, that you start noticing that, oh, our opinions are not the same, we don't like the same music, we don't like the same people, we have totally different groups of friends, our lives individually are very different. Oh, we are great together, but then, yeah, he likes this or she likes that, and it's not the same. And sometimes this is used either as an excuse or as a reason for people falling apart, basically, for the relationships to fall apart. People start distancing themselves, either consciously or unconsciously, but this happens, and it's because of these thoughts, this matter of thinking, the meaning that they put on this, like the differences justify getting apart. And in fact, they can be a reason to do exactly the opposite, to get closer, to understand that that's the reason to keep going. That's a good thing. It's good to have different perspectives. That can be ideal. Why would you want someone that sees exactly what you see when you can have someone that offers a totally different perspective? How can you create this sense of attraction without difference? How can that be possible? I know that there are couples like that. There are relationships like that. I've seen like Sometimes it's very clear when you see a couple like that they dress almost the same. They look almost like brother and sister, which is a little bit weird, but you can see couples like this, and you talk to them and they talk very similarly, and it's like a weird experience. And I'm not saying that's not a possibility, that is a possibility, but the energy and the dynamics that arise with the difference, or with polarity, that is a word used more in the spiritual context, is something that requires that requires a little bit of confrontation sometimes with the other person, that requires a little bit of difference, or a lot of difference, that requires you to be challenged somehow. There needs to be a challenge there, from other points of view, from different things, different emotions, different reactions. So this is the perspective that I wanted to share with you, that the little things or the big things that are different can be used as a way to get closer to someone, to deepen the connection, or can be a reason to let the relationship fall apart. And the important thing is that this is more of an option that you may think. It's not like it's up to the gods to decide where your relationship is going. You can shift your perspective. You have the power to do that. And with that, change completely the relationship and the connection, like all of the sudden. The same way, the story I told, that I lost my attraction like just in a split moment, and that was it. You can feel exactly the opposite. Once you shift your perspective, you can deepen the attraction, even in a relationship that you've been with for a long time, and you can feel the connection getting deeper and deeper. Another thing related to this is that this creates sometimes some confrontation, some conflict, and conflicts as well sometimes create this space of openness, of vulnerability, because sometimes we even can be a little bit explosive or can let our guard down. And that space of openness is exactly the same. In that space you can create a deeper connection, like there's a connection between you and the other part that is broken there for a moment, and then that openness allows you to get closer or to get further apart. And it's your decision, or at least of one of the people in the relationship, to decide if the connection is going to be used one way or another. This can drastically change and improve your relationship. Once you start seeing things this way, once you start seeing that you can collaborate based on your differences, that you can move faster and further if you take advantage of the differences, if you realize that is key for attraction, that is key for connection, is key for a relationship. So if you look at your relationship and you're honest with yourself, how do you think is your perspective right now? Do you see the differences mostly as a reason to get together, or do you see it mostly as a justification, or a justification to get apart, or even to start doubting yourself, doubting the relationship? What is your current perspective? And now, what would happen if you change it? What will happen to you, to the other person, to the relationship, to your life? How would that be affected? Sit with it for a bit. You can think about it, have moments of introspection, and start exploring this idea, start trying it. When you see those examples popping in your life, now you can have a different perspective. You can think, oh, wow, this actually is a good thing. Before I thought it was a bad thing, but it's actually really good. It is really good that we can have different roles in this relationship. It is really good that we see things different, and that we can share, and that we can grow through that. That's all for today.